Hey everybody, it's Saturday again. So you know what time it is. It's time for Facebook Live, Saturday Anything Goes series. Some of you may have seen my unboxing earlier this week. And anytime I order supplies, I'm always looking to get ribbon. So I love ribbon like most of you probably do. And problem is, I run out of places to store it. So as I was sitting there looking at all the ribbon spools rolling around my desk, and even though I might have them, I've got a little ribbon rail I can put them on, but then the tails always end up hanging down to the floor. And it's just a real hassle. So I went out and perused YouTube and found this cute little ribbon box. Now, there are several people who have done them. I have altered mine. I wanted it to be a reinforced box. Some of the previous projects that we've done last month in July had to do with reinforced boxes, and I just really like the additional strength so that when I pick up my ribbon box, it doesn't, if I can do it with one hand without it twisting, and hello, ribbon all over the floor, right? So I was able to come up with the perfect measurements. You're going to use one sheet of 8.5 by 11 and then some scraps of DSP, and then whatever color ribbon you want. So decorating this is great. But the beautiful thing is, as you fill them up, just make another one. That way you always have easy ribbon storage. You can even find those little acrylic shelves that you can stick on your desk where you can stack your ribbons up that way, so they're taking up vertical space rather than horizontal space. So let me move this stuff out of the way here. These additional ribbons, we'll put those in the box that we're going to make. And this is my prototype. And I actually made one for each of my downlines because I'm sure they can use them as well. And Tammy really enjoyed hers. I haven't gotten Lori hers yet, but we'll definitely be doing that. So this is what we're going to be making today. As you can see, it's pretty sturdy. I can lift it with one hand. I can even tilt it. My ribbons aren't falling out. But the beauty of it, my tails are staying tucked in the box. That probably was the deciding factor for me in making a box like this. And I've just embellished it. I use some retired DSP. You guys know me. When I'm doing my prototypes, that's a perfect opportunity to use up some retired DSP. So that's the box that we're going to be making today. Hello, Jean. Hi, Anne. Thank you, ladies, for joining this Saturday. All right, so let me show you how easy it is to make this box. I'll pull this one out of the way, and you will need your scoring board. Let me get that over here. Let's see if I can do it without knocking the camera around. And I'll try to move that up. I want you to be able to see the measurements though. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. And the ribbon box that I made, I started with a base of Whisper White and decorated it. But our colored cardstock is strong enough that, hello, you can use that as well. So you don't have to go with white. And I was looking through my scraps. Oh, look. This is the new Frosted Floral. Yes, I have already cut into this. Tammy and I had some fun playing with this when she was over. So this is what we're going to be using. And I've already had some scraps cut up that we'll be using to put on the box. The reason I brought this slightly bigger piece out, though, I want to show you, depending on the DSP you use, your cardstock colors can be endless. This DSP has so many colors in it that I can choose from any one of these colored cardstocks or Whisper White. The only color I think I don't have out here is the petal pink, and that's because I've already used up all of mine. So we're going to stick with the darker colors, and I think that'll really make the DSP pop as well. So now I have to decide which color I want. Hi, Roz. Thanks for joining today. Do you guys have any suggestions? I can tell you where I'm leaning, but they sure are pretty. So we've got Tranquil Tide, Blackberry Bliss, Night of Navy, Shaded Spruce, Mint Macaron, and Gray Granite. All pretty colors. But you know what? I'm going to keep this pretty basic. I'm going to go with the Gray Granite. I know, Roz, isn't this paper gorgeous? All right, let me show you how easy this is. You only need to remember 2 measurements. You're starting with that 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. We are going to make this a reinforced box, so I'm going to make 2 score lines. My first score line is going to be at 1 inch. My second score line is going to be 1.5 inches further than that, so 2.5 inches. So that's going to give me a 1 inch flap I can fold over, and that is what reinforces that box. So 1 inch, 2.5 inches on all 4 sides. Those are the only measurements that you need to make. So Linda, you say, how did you come up with what the measurements should be? Well, I knew I wanted to work with an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. And I wanted my box to be approximately 6 inches in length. What I did was I needed the outside flap to fold over and then the inside one, which will give it the box shape. So I decided that my ribbon is about 3 1/4. The spool's about between 3 1/4 and 3 3/8 inches. Let me show you this way. All right. So I wanted it to sit in the box, not be too snug because I didn't want it pushing the box out, and also not be too loose. And that ended up being 3.5 inches. Well, I couldn't do a 1.5 inch and then a 3 inch because that wouldn't have left me 3.5 inches. That would have only left me 3 inches. So what I did was I said, well, I know I want my side to be 1.5 inches tall. I'll just add an extra inch onto that. And that ended up meaning that I needed the measurement of the box. Let me just finish this up here so I can show you on this. And take this out of the way. So my inside measurement right here is 3.5 by 6. I need 1.5 inches side, right? So 1.5 inches on each side brought that to, that's 3 inches, 9 inches. That only gave me 2 more inches in an 11-inch long piece of paper. So that's how I came up with, for the reinforced part, the reinforcing flaps only needed to be 1 inch. Okay. Basically what I did was I took the inside measurements and I added 5 inches on the length and 5 inches on the width. And that worked out perfectly to be 8.5 by 11. So very serendipitous. I hope that made sense. Okay, now we're just going to fold and burnish our score lines. Always the fun part. I just love that our cardstock is so nice and has a good weight to it because we can use it for projects like this without worrying about the project being too flimsy. All right, almost done with this. And then we're going to need to do a little bit of cutting. Okay, there we go. So we've got, this is going to be, if you can kind of imagine it, see how my 1 inch comes down to reinforce, and that's what gives it that stability at the top. Okay, now the cutting that we're going to need to do, scissors, I had scissors here somewhere. There they are. Is we have these outside rectangles, which we don't need, so we're going to cut those away. Try to take out your score line when you're doing that. It just gets rid of any extra bulk and makes the box close together so nicely. So we've got rid of that corner. Now we're going to do the same with here and get rid of this corner. Just like that. And then we need to cut up these two score lines here, because this is how we're actually going to fold our box together. So these will make our inside flaps. We don't need the whole thing, so I'm going to cut off this bottom part right here, because that's the part that we will actually be using to attach it, just like that. And then you know me, I like to give a little bit of a wedge on my flaps, because that can make a difference. So, and I always find it easier to cut the right-hand sides, so I'll do those first, and then I'm just going to flip it over to cut these left-hand sides of the flap. I tend to get a better cut that way. All right, just like that. And then we're going to repeat the same on the opposite side. So we're going to take out the outside rectangle first, cut up this rectangle, and then we don't need this bottom flap here, so we're going to cut that off and repeat on this side. So it's just those 4 outside rectangles that you're going to get completely rid of. And then the inside rectangle, you're going to cut that bottom piece off, and then you're going to wedge it. And that is all the cutting that we have to do. And we'll be ready to assemble our box. Now, I cannot tell you, 2 or 3 of the boxes that I first made, I completely screwed them up. And let me show you why. This is the one part of this where you need to be careful. If it weren't a reinforced box, you wouldn't have to worry about it. But normally we would put our tape on the outsides here, right? We don't have to worry about putting tape on here, because let me show you what's going to hold it in place is these 2 long flaps are going to fold over. That's our reinforcing part. And so that is how that box is going to come together. So the only tape that we need to do is we're going to put tape on the 2 long sides. And yes, we need tape on the 2 short sides. Okay. But here's where I always made my mistake. It's fine to go ahead and put tape on all of them at the same time. Save yourself some time. I'll just use my fast fuse. You can use liquid glue. You can use tear and tape. Any of those will work just fine. But I'm trying to use up my fast fuse. Now, I was folding these in before I put my flaps in. And that just won't work, because that defeats the whole purpose of tucking those flaps in. So remember, tuck in. You can go ahead and fold over the short flaps. So you can get that done and get them out of the way, just like that. Now we can bring this up and in, and make sure I'm in focus here. You're going to bring this up and then fold over the flap, making sure your box is square. And that is what's going to glue down those flaps. And as you can see, if I had already done that, I would have no place to grab onto my flaps. So that is how simple it is. And there is our reinforced box. Easy, easy, easy. All right. Any questions so far, ladies? Everybody's following along okay? I'm telling you, this is an easy one to make, and it's so much fun. It took us less than 10 minutes to put this box together. All right, now we're ready to decorate. What do we need as far as DSP? Oh my goodness, I have stuff just all over the place. We need 4 flaps or 4 strips of DSP. If you wanted to cover the entire side, which I did, then you're going to cut a strip that is 6 inches long by 1.5 inches wide. And actually, I took my 12 by 12 when I cut it up for something else. I had a 2-inch strip, 2 by 12-inch strip, so I just cut that down. And then I cut the 12 inches in half to make my 1.5 by 6 inches. So you need 2 of those. And then you'll need a 1.5 by 3.5 inch strip for the sides. Okay, and I'm just going to use my good old trusty liquid glue to glue these down. Oh, look at how pretty that side of the paper is. Ooh, look at that. If we could make a winter box, that would be pretty. Nope, nope, nope. Stick with your plan. Stick with your plan. This is why it takes me so long to come up with ideas for stuff, because I'm always dithering over which side of the paper to use. All right. And I keep my box laying down when I'm putting on my DSP. That way I can be sure that I have a smooth edge at the bottom. And if you've cut it a little too long, no worries. Just bring your scissors in and trim it down. Just like that. Now you do want to make sure that your liquid glue is reaching all the way to the edges. Like I've got a little bit there that's not, so I'm just going to hit it with a little bit more, just a dab, because you don't want that catching and tearing. Okay, now let's go and do the other side. And if you find it easier to pick it up and do it that way, that's good too. It's however you're comfortable. And I like that liquid glue because it gives me just a minute to wiggle it around. Okay, now I'm ready to put my side flaps on. This paper is so, so pretty and shimmery. I just love it. Scooch down there, you. All right, one more side left to do. Like I said, if you find any areas that it's kind of catching on things, just glue those puppies down. Okay. So there we have our DSP. Now I need to decide what I want to be the front, and I guess you can already tell. Yeah, that's going to be my front, even though those 2 flowers are going to be covered by the little sentiment I put on. Or label. I really like the balance on either side of them. All right, so let's talk about that. I cut out, and if you have purchased the First Frost stamp and die set, and why wouldn't you? It's beautiful. One of the neatest things about the die set is this die right here, and it's actually 2 in 1. So I cut my white with the smaller one, and then a coordinating piece of cardstock. In this instance, I used my Blackberry Bliss, and I cut it out of the larger one. And when I put them together, it is the perfect frame. And that is going to sit right there. and look just awesome. Okay. And I always cut extras when I'm doing it. I figure, what the heck? I know I'll use them. So while I had the paper and the Big Shot out, I just went ahead and cut up a bunch of them. The other stamp set that we're going to use, or the stamps that we're going to use in conjunction with the First Frost Eyes, is the Make a Difference. And I love this because of the script font, but also because they have some groups of letters: double F, TH, double T, double E, double S, double B, double L, double G. And that came in handy because I wanted to label my box ribbon, and yep, that's a double B. So it was one less letter that I needed to line up. And how did I do that? Well, this is where the Stamparatus comes in handy. So what I did was I just opened up my Stamparatus, and I've got a nice laminated mat under mine, and I put it on my grid paper. I'll show you what it looked like. So it kind of looked like this. And that way I was able to make sure that I was lining up my letters evenly. So I don't know if you can see there, but there's a line. And so ribbon is on there evenly. And that's what I used for the other one. So I figured might as well use it for this one. So let's just see. I think I need to put this right, if I recall, about there. Make sure I have it on there straight. And do a double check. Yep, that looks pretty good to me. Actually, it can come down just a tad. Yes, I fuss with it, but you know, it's worth it. And then for my ink, I'm going to go ahead and use Pear Pizzazz. That's one of the coordinating colors in the DSP. So the other nice thing about using your Stamparatus, if you don't get a perfect stamp the first time, you can just go back and hit it again. I want it just a little bit darker over there. And there we go. So that easy, I now have a nice label for my ribbon box. Now, if you don't have the Make a Difference stamp set, you certainly can take a sentiment and use that to label it. If you don't have the First Frost bundle, so you don't have the die that cuts that out, use one of your label punches that will fit. Or if you happen to get the tin that has those wonderful tag punches in it, you could even use one of those. Just use your imagination. All right, now I wanted to give this just a little bit more decoration. So I am going to go back to my to my Make a Difference. There we go. Because there's this cute floral stamp in there. And since our DSP is floral, I thought, what the heck? We could go ahead and stamp some flowers on there. And one of my go-to neutral colors for ink is Smoky Slate. I really like it. It's a very, very soft, cool gray. So it goes well with lots of colors. Could I have used my gray granite? Absolutely, I could use my gray granite and it would be fine. All right, let me just get my laminated paper under here so I don't mess up my mat. And then decide where I want my floral images. So I like it right there. That's cute. And then I think I want to put a little bit at the bottom. So I'm going to re-ink. And I'm going off of the label, and that's just fine. All I wanted was those leaves in that corner, just to give it a little extra balance. And if you like it that way, you can leave it that way. But you know me, any chance I have to use my Stampin' Blends, I'm going to. I didn't have perfect colors to match the DSP. I know Shaded Spruce is out now, but I haven't gotten mine yet. So I'm just going to go ahead and use my Old Olive light marker, which is the light one is close enough, I think, to the greens that are in the DSP. And then the petal, I do have the petal pink Stampin' Blend, but I wanted something a little bit warmer. If you look at this, this color is actually a pretty warm color. So I came up with using my light Calypso Coral. And I'm only going to do a little bit of coloring. So even though the colors won't exactly match the DSP, they're close enough that I think they'll work just fine. I'm not going to worry about doing any shading or anything. These are awfully small areas. So I'm just going to scribble on some color real quick. Just like that. And then run the green for my leaves. Oops. I'm not even being particularly careful about staying in the lines because that DSP is kind of soft and has a wash to it. So it will go along perfectly with that. I could sit here and spend a long time coloring because you know I love to color, but this really begged for just some quick coloring. Just like that. All right, I like that. Let's bring our box in. I'm already using it, throwing my blends in there. And we're going to attach this right here. And you can see how pretty that looks. And that light Calypso coral color, I think, works well with the DSP, as well as the green. Now, what about ribbon? Do I want to put some ribbon on here? Because remember, I did on my other one. Let me just bring it back in real quick. So I did use ribbon for that. You certainly don't have to. Remember, we're going to be backing this with the Blackberry Bliss. So let's do that and see if we think it needs any additional color to ground it on the box. A little bit of liquid glue. Just like that. And look how beautiful that is. Perfect, perfect border. Now let's see if I put this here. It has enough definition that I really don't have to put ribbon on. I can, and let's see, is there any here I think I would like to use? So this is not Blackberry Bliss, but the DSP has both light and dark colors of the purple. So I could get away with that. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Hi, Amy. I'm thinking I like it. I'm thinking I'm going to use it. So let me just cut off a piece here. You could wrap it all the way around the box if you wanted to, but I'm just going to use it right down the center here. Cut just a little bit more off this side. Yep, I think I like it like that. And what do we want to attach it with? I think we'll just use glue dots. Glue dots are wonderful for attaching ribbon. I could also use tear and tape, but I find sometimes the tear and tape buckles my ribbon a little bit for some reason. So I'm just going to put a couple 3 glue dots on there. I always put one in the middle. Let me show you why. I never get my ends where I want them. So if I have it like this, I can get that middle dot secured, and then I can make sure that I've got my ribbon lined up. Just like that. Now, you can use dimensionals if you want. I like to keep it flat since I'm storing my ribbon in it. It's less for the ribbon to catch on when I'm taking it out. So I think I'm just going to use, my fast fuse. And I'm going to put it also in the middle where the ribbon is. That gives a little extra holding power. I think my fast fuse is almost at the end of the roll here. Lego Mago, there we go. And for this, I am going to lay the box down because I don't want to run the risk of having that label be too far down. Then the box wouldn't sit well. So it sticks up just a little bit at the top, and I'm okay with that. But the bottom is nice and flush. And there's our ribbon box. Again, the reason that I love this so much, it's got the reinforced sides, which give it stability, but I can tuck my tails in there, and it just keeps the ribbon nice and neat. And you can fit, depending on the width of your ribbon spool, 8 or 9. So let's see, I've got all these in here. Oops, come here. See what I mean about the tails? They just get away from me. There we go, just like that. So that's 2, 4, 6. I have 8, but that's because my velvet ribbon is kind of wide. But 8 or 9, depending on how wide your spools are. Come here, tail. Let me turn this one around. But you can see I lift it up with one hand. It's very, very stable. It's not twisting and turning. And it's just an excellent way to go out there and store your ribbons. All right, there we have it. Does anyone have any questions about measurements or how to put the box together itself? I know, Jean, it makes a really good gift, I think. Okay, then I'll go ahead and close out our session. It was just about 30 minutes long today, which is great for ours. I hope you do give the ribbon box a try. If you have any questions about it when you start making it, feel free to drop me a line on my Facebook page, and I will be more than happy to get right back with you. Otherwise, I will see you guys Tuesday night. Yep. And and I will be posting this on YouTube probably later on today. So that way you can also watch the replay there. Have a great rest of the weekend, y'all, and see you later. Bye.